Hello Lovely layout number 5. This layout is created a picture of Taieri Beach, where our family likes to spend our holidays and our weekends away. This is my parents' beach house, and this is just out on the beach, just a short walk from the backyard of the beach house. So this photo was taken while I was just through there for a couple of days. My oldest daughter's started work, so this is probably the first summer where I haven't been able to spend a good extended amount of time there. So with the previous layout, I'm actually going to use the paper with the zip strip still attached, and I've just trimmed this down to the size that gives the photo a bit of a frame and an outline. This is another really super fast, quick layout idea and process to go through. So I'm going to use 2 of the different zip strips along with the blush shimmer ribbon just to give it a bit of a frame around here. So all of these things are in the Workshops Your Way Hello Lovely kit, and there'll be a stamp that I'll use in here from the Hello Lovely scrapbooking stamps, and I'm going to use the word today, and I'm going to use this with our sea glass blue ink. And so I'm getting ready to stamp this, and I'm going to turn the mat over, foam back, gives a nicer impression when you press down the stamped ink. So using the sea glass, I'm going to ink up the word today. Using this soft colour with these stamps, these word stamps from the set, is just beautiful because they have a watercolour effect anyway. And for some reason, just using these softer colours just does make it look like you've done watercolour. Now I'm doing a second one just in case I muck up the cutting or do something wrong with the first one, and I'm just doing that because I've got it there and I can. So I'm just trialling that out, and if both work out perfectly, that means I've got a title or a card, a thing for a card ready and going, and just having a bit of a play. This means I get to choose the best inked impression for this one. This sea glass ink pad, it's the first time I've actually used it, so it's also a little bit about conditioning it and getting it ready to go. And I decided that maybe I would want a different colour, so I had a go at using the Whisper as well and inked that up, and in the end I went back with the sea glass and cleaning and conditioning my stamp with the spray and with the scrubber, just to make sure it's going to be kept as best as it can for the next time I want to use it. Turning the mat back over, having a look at my page and my paper and thinking about the title. I could have done the title just on a square and put it like that, but these watercolour writing just lend themselves so beautifully to fussy cutting the title, which I ended up doing here. So having a look at the compliment stickers, having a think about where things might be able to be placed, laying them on the page, having a look at what I've got, and in actual fact deciding that I didn't want a lot of it there. And so even though these banners are cut, these bits and pieces are ready to be used, in actual fact I decided that I didn't want to use them. So finding that the soft pinkness, the soft pink here, just tied in a little bit with the zip strip that I used and the blush shimmer ribbon that I end up using a little bit later on. This wee banner kind of fitted nicely, and especially with the little aqua circle with the gold hearts on them, and I was able to tuck one in behind at the end of the word today as well as up in the top left, and being at the opposite corners, it just gave a nice balanced feel to it. So playing with ideas, laying stuff out, having a look at what it might look like, holding it up against it, are strategies I use just to make sure that I'm feeling comfortable with the page that I'm doing. I decided with this page that it still needed a little bit more of a frame, and so I decided to actually paint up that frame, and I'm using the wide brush here, and I hadn't cleaned it very well last time I used it, and so that's something that I need to remember to do. But it just meant that I had to also clean out the paint, and I used it, the broad brush tip, to do a nice bold frame, and then going back over that again later on, again shortly, to make it a nice wide thing. So the first time round it was just a bit of an outline, a bit of a chance to draw it, but this is the medium flat water brush, and these are $10.50. So the water sits inside the barrel, which means while you've got it filled up or you've got water in it, it's always ready to go and to be used. You can take this places with you. It means that you don't have a jar of water waiting to be knocked all over your work, and it just simplifies things. And so with my frame, once it's dried, I actually used our black journaling pen to give it a little bit of not an outline, it's the inline, so I went through the inside of this. It just defined it and helped give more definition around the frame, to frame the pictures, the photograph and the other papers that I'm going to use within this. Okay, so putting them in place, putting things down. Now it's time to do a bit of gluing with my Tombow glue, sticking it down visually centered. Same with the photograph. The zip strip and the blush shimmer trim as well. Using the same adhesive for each of these to stick them down. And I could have just stuck today straight down where it is, but I actually decided to use the foam, our foam adhesive tape, just so that it's lifted off the page. Gives it a little bit of shadowing behind, it gives it a little bit of dimension, and the darkness of the photograph means that it's still a feature on the page even if I'm popping out the title. So the title, because it's done in the nice sea glass colour, doesn't take over from the photograph. And by lifting it out, it just gives that little bit more dimension and interest, I guess. Okay, should have sped up this bit. Putting on these little foam dots isn't that exciting to watch. The foam dot, or the foam tape, this can be used for lots of different things, whether it be little embellishments, whether it be the title. You could even use the foam tape on the strips that I've put on, or even on the back of your photo to help it stand out further. It works great with the different stamps, with getting these in place, with lifting them up, especially some of those thin cut bundles like the florals and things that come with the card making set of the Hello Lovely range would work beautifully. Which I haven't used here, the scrapbooking one's also got a nice double effect rose that you can create, or a couple of roses, and that would look nice raised up too with the dimensional adhesive. So having a play with these compliment stickers about where I want them as well, and I decide that I want to stick that at the top left with the little aqua circle and gold heart, and balancing that aqua circle and gold heart down after the word today. Okay. I decided to do a little bit of a frame around the photograph as well. It just felt like it needed a little bit more definition, and so I used my journaling pen to draw around this, and then I used a slightly different blue, probably more of a purpley blue than I used before, just to go inside this line around the photograph. It wasn't a perfect line, it wasn't super straight, but it just adds interest, or adds an element that doesn't take over, but it's just there. It's one of those little subtleties, or just extra interest, and it ties in with the photograph. It gives that whole watery look, watery feel, and I guess that's why I wanted to use the sea glass in the end as well as the light blue frame, because it's to do with water and the beach and the sea and skies. So just filling in those little areas with that blue. This time I'm using the small round water brush, which is a finer tip, and these are again $10.50. There. putting my paints out of the way. This isn't a highly emotive picture or a highly journal picture. It's sort of a record of a time and place. So my journaling here is very simple. Taieri Beach, January the 12th, 2017. This is a place that, as I said before, we go to often, so it's nice just to have a little bit of a time and place recording on that. So I decided that I need a little bit more, and I wanted to use some of these glitter gems that came in the Workshops Your Way pack, and these tucked in nicely just to the bottom left corner of the photograph. I used one slightly bigger one in the center, and then I popped two of the slightly smaller ones just to either side of it. And I'm using our clear shimmer brush here. These are just used to add a little bit of shimmer to whatever you're doing. These are $8.50, and these can be put on all sorts of surfaces, all sorts of stamps and ideas, but here I just want it on the title just to give it a little bit more glisten and a little bit more effect. Okay, so here's my finished page. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got some tips and ideas for your next layout.